There comes a moment, a quiet, nearly invisible crack in the timeline of your life when everything can change. Not because the world shifts, but because you do. One decision, that's all it takes, not 10, not 100, one. And most people will never make it. Not because they can't, but because they won't. They've been taught to believe in slow death, in average days, in dreams deferred until the soul forgets how to scream. They've been taught to cope, not conquer. But listen to me now, not with your ears, but with your spirit. You are one decision away from a new life. The question is, will you make it? Every empire that's ever risen, every legacy that's ever been carved into stone, every phoenix that's ever risen from ashes began the same way, with a decision. A moment when someone stood before a mirror, a battlefield, a boardroom, or a mountain and said, enough. Enough of the fear, enough of the excuses, enough of pretending the pain doesn't exist. Enough of the small, silent suffering that comes from knowing you were made for more and doing nothing about it. That moment is sacred. That moment is the dividing line between the life you're living and the life you were born to create. But that decision, it won't come dressed as a grand opportunity. It won't show up with confetti and applause. It will arrive disguised as discomfort, as risk, as doubt. It will ask you to walk through fire with no guarantee, because that's how greatness is born, not through certainty, but through courage. Think of Thomas Edison. When the world called him a fool after thousands of failures, he didn't make 10,000 mistakes. He made one decision 10,000 times. Think of Abraham Lincoln, defeated, dismissed, demoralized, bankrupt, broken, buried in grief. Still, he made one decision to rise. Think of Harriet Tubman, no map, no army, no permission. But with one decision, she split the chains of history. Do you see it now? Your life doesn't need a miracle, it needs a choice. The choice to stop living on autopilot. The choice to stop being the victim of your thoughts. The choice to stop worshipping the past like it's your future. You are not your failures. You are not your circumstances. You are not your DNA. You are the sculptor, and the mind is your chisel. But a chisel in the wrong hands creates nothing. Only destruction. Only noise. That's why mindset is everything, because your decisions are born from it. Before wealth comes mindset. Before clarity comes awareness. Before transformation comes the death of the old you. And that's the war, not the world, not the market, not your childhood.
The war is internal. It always has been. The battlefield is your beliefs. The weapon is your focus. The prize is your future. You want a new life? Then understand this. You must become someone the old you would never recognize. That means shedding skin, burning bridges, rewriting the entire story you've told yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. It means being willing to be misunderstood, judged, laughed at. It means sacrifice, silence, solitude, and then breakthrough, because you don't get the reward without a rewiring. The world doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your wiring. So rewire your mind to decide boldly, decide to believe, decide to move, decide to let go of what no longer serves the life you're building. You are one decision away from freedom, from power, from peace, from wealth, from alignment, from purpose, and every second you hesitate, you reinforce the cage.
You think the changes are real because they've been on so long, but they're not still, they're thought. They were forged in childhood by repetition, locked in place by environment, tightened by every voice that said, "Be realistic, stay safe, know your place." But what they never told you is this: the key has always been in your hands, and the lock, it opens with a decision. See, the problem isn't that people dream too big, it's that they decide too small. They settle for what's probable instead of what's possible. They ask, "Who am I to do this?" when they should ask, "Who am I not to?" Look around you. Every life that inspires you was built on decisions others were too afraid to make. Decisions that defied logic, defied statistics, defied the opinions of friends and family and experts. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Steve Jobs was ousted from the very company he created. Oprah was told she didn't have the look for TV. And yet, they decided. Not because they had guarantees, but because they had vision, because they understood something most people will never grasp. A clear decision backed by belief becomes a force of nature. It bends time, it attracts people, it opens doors, and most of all, it changes you. Because when you decide at a deep enough level, when your soul signs the contract, there is no going back. The bridges are burned, the doubts lose power, and your life starts to reorganize itself around that new internal standard. But you can't make a real decision from a weak state. That's why your state of mind must be elevated first. You don't decide your future when you're tired, distracted, resentful, or scrolling through the lives of people who already did what you're still afraid to try. You decide from clarity, from stillness, from fire. So step back from the noise. Withdraw from the world long enough to hear your own voice again. The real one. The one buried under layers of doubt, distraction, and downloaded fear. Then ask, what would I do if I believed fully? What would I build if failure didn't scare me? Who'd I become if I let go of every excuse? And then act like the answer is true, because that's the gap that destroys dreams, the space between knowing and doing. Millions know what they want. Thousands study how to get it. But only a few move like it's already theirs. Those few, they're not special. They are not chosen. They're just decided. And decision creates energy. It creates momentum. It wakes you up in the morning with purpose and puts you to sleep at night with peace. You stop wondering, you stop second guessing, you stop dancing between plan A and plan B and start building something that will bury the alphabet behind legacy. But here's the secret no one talks about. You will feel resistance the moment you choose, because decisions have enemies. They threaten the status quo. They offend the version of you that's addicted to comfort. The same mind that cheered you on 5 minutes ago will whisper, "Are you sure? What if it doesn't work? What will people think?" That's not a sign to stop. That's a sign you're exactly where you're supposed to be. See, every decision you make sends a signal to the universe, a frequency, a declaration, and that signal is either strong or weak, focused or fuzzy, final or flexible, and the world, like a mirror, reflects it back. If you're unclear, life will confuse you. If you're scared, it will test you. But if you're certain, truly certain, nothing can stop you, because a fully made-up mind is magnetic. People feel it in your presence. It sharpens your voice. It strengthens your walk. It closes the gap
between thought and action, between fear and forward, between hesitation and hell. Yes, that's the kind of decision that rewrites stories, that shifts generational patterns, that leaves people asking what happened to them. Tell them you finally decided not to be rich, not to be famous, not to impress anyone, but to be whole, to be awake,
To be aligned with your calling, no matter the cost. Because once you do that, everything else follows.